Patricia and Leon grew up in the same suburb outside of Charlotte. Same graduating class, same first jobs in their mid-20s, same general trajectory through their 30s. By 45, Patricia was earning $67,000 a year as a school administrator. Leon was pulling $72,000 managing operations at a regional logistics company. Close enough that, from the outside, you'd expect similar retirements. And yet, they didn't. Patricia retired at 64, comfortable, not extravagant, but genuinely secure. Leon also retired at 64, technically. But within 8 months, he was back at work, part-time, because the math stopped working. Not because he not because he invested worse, because he never calculated the one number that determines whether our retirement plan actually works. And by the time he discovered the gap, he had less than 4 years of working life left to close it. My name is Carrie, and I have spent years studying not just how people build wealth, but where retirement plans quietly collapse. Not in the market, not in bad investment, but in absence of one calculation. Today, I'm going to show you what that number is, why the generic advice you've been given is not just incomplete, but potentially dangerous, before it's too late to act on it. Because the gap between Patricia's retirement and Leon's was not luck. It was one number, and you are going to know it by the end of this video. The number is not what you think. Before I show you what the number actually is, I need to dismantle the one you have probably been using instead. For decades, the personal finance industry has handed working people a single retirement benchmark. Save $1 million, get to $1 million, and you are done. It is clean, it is memorable, and for a large portion of the population, it is completely wrong. Here is the problem. $1 million is not a retirement plan. It is a placeholder, a number invented to feel aspirational without requiring you to think about your actual life, because retirement security is not determined by your balance. It is determined by the relationship between your balance and your specific monthly expenses. A person with $700,000 saved and baseline expenses of $3,200 a month will have money left over at 90. Same goal of 1 million, completely different outcomes. The number that actually matters has nothing to do with what the industry tells you to chase. It is specific to your life, your expenses, and your timeline. And almost nobody has ever calculated it. Rule 1, your personal retirement income target is the only number that matters. The calculation that Patricia made, and Leon never did, has a name. I call it the Personal Retirement Income Target, or PRIT. It is the specific portfolio size required to generate enough annual income to cover your personal baseline expenses indefinitely without depleting the principal. First, you identify your true baseline monthly expenses, not your total spending, your non-negotiable baseline, rent or mortgage, utilities, insurance, groceries, transportation, and any fixed obligations. Everything you must pay regardless of circumstances. For most working Americans, this number sits somewhere between $2,800 and $5,500 a month, depending on location, housing situation, and family structure. Second, you multiply that monthly number by 12 to get your annual baseline. Then you divide that annual number by 0.04, which is the 4% sustainable withdrawal rate that decades of research supports as the threshold below which a diversified portfolio does not deplete itself over a 30-year retirement. The result is your PRIT. It is the exact portfolio size your life requires, not the one a generic calculator suggested. Yours. Trisha's baseline expenses were $3,400 a month. Her PRIT was $1,020,000. Leon's expenses were $4,800, largely because of lifestyle decisions. His PRIT $1,400, some $40,000. He had $890,000. The gap was not catastrophic in dollar terms, but it was insurmountable in time terms. With 4 years left to work, Rule 2, the generic benchmarks are calibrated for someone else's life. If this is landing for you so far, take 2 seconds to hit the like button. Here is what nobody in the financial industry has an incentive to tell you. The standard retirement benchmarks are statistical averages built on assumptions that may have nothing to do with your life. The 10 times salary rule assumes your salary accurately reflects your spending needs. For someone earning $90,000 but living on $38,000 a year because of disciplined habits and a paid-off home, that benchmark dramatically overestimates what they need. For someone earning $90,000 but carrying $500 in monthly expenses because of debt obligations and high cost of living, The same benchmark dramatically underestimates it. The 80% income replacement rule has the same problem. It assumes your retirement spending will mirror your working life spending at 80%. But for many retirees, especially in early retirement, spending actually increases temporarily as travel, healthcare, and lifestyle costs rise before declining in later years. And for others who have eliminated debt and downsized housing, 55% of pre-retirement income is more than enough. The benchmarks are not wrong. They are just not about you. And spending a 35-year career saving toward a number that was never calibrated to your actual life is one of the most expensive financial mistakes a person can make quietly. Rule 3. 3 variables determine your number, and most people have only looked at one. The reason most people never calculate their PRIT is that they assume the calculation requires information they do not have: future investment returns, inflation rates, unknown life expectancy. But the PRIT does not require predictions. It requires honesty about 3 variables you already have access to right now. Variable 1 is your true baseline monthly expense number. Not what you think you spend. What your bank statements show you actually spend on non-negotiable categories. Most people overestimate their baseline by 15-20% because they include discretionary spending. Variable 2 is your expected Social Security benefit. You can find this today by logging into ssa.gov and viewing your personal benefit estimate. This number directly reduces your PRIT because it is income your portfolio does not need to generate. That changes your PRT from $1,200,000 to $660,000, a $540,000 difference based on a number you can look up in 4 minutes. Variable 3 is your retirement age target. Every year you delay retirement is a year your portfolio grows, and a year fewer it needs to last. Retiring at 67 instead of 62 does not just give you 5 more years of contributions. It shortens the withdrawal period from potentially 35 years to 30, which meaningfully changes the safe withdrawal math and reduces your required PRIT. These 3 variables, your baseline expenses, your Social Security benefit, and your target retirement age, are the entire engine of the calculation, and all 3 are knowable right now. Rule 4, never calculating it is not neutral. It is expensive. Here is the part that most people miss. Not calculating your PRIT is not a passive decision. It is an active one with a specific price tag. Consider 2 investors, both 35, both contributing $500 a month to a retirement account averaging 8% annual returns. Investor A has never calculated her PRIT. She is saving consistently but without a target. When she hits $400,000 at 48, she feels ahead of the curve, slows her contribution slightly, increases her lifestyle modestly, and assumes she is on track because the balance looks large. Investor B calculated his PRT at 35 and discovered his number was $1,100,000. He knew at 48 that $400,000 was not ahead of the curve. By 65, Investor A has approximately $720,000. Investor B has $1,080,000. Same starting point, same monthly contribution. A $360,000 gap created entirely by whether one number was ever calculated. The target does not just tell you where you are going, it tells you whether you can afford to slow down. Without it, people slow down too early because the balance looks bigger than the context tells them it is. Rule 5, here is how to calculate your number this week. Step 1, pull your last 3 months of bank and credit card statements. Identify every non-negotiable expense: housing, utilities, insurance, transportation, groceries, minimum debt payments. Add them up and divide by 3. That is your true monthly baseline. Step 2, go to ssa.gov and log in or create an account. Find your estimated monthly benefit at your target retirement age. Write that number down. Step 3, subtract your monthly Social Security estimate from your monthly baseline. The remainder is what your portfolio must generate. Step 4, multiply that remainder by 12 to get the annual income your portfolio needs to produce. Step 5, divide that annual number by 0.04. The result is your PRT. That is your number, not the industry average. Yours. Write it down. Put it somewhere visible. Because a retirement plan aimed at a real number behaves completely differently than one aimed at a vague aspiration. Here is what I want you to do this week. First, calculate your baseline monthly expenses using real statements, not estimates. Second, log into ssa.gov and find your personal benefit estimate before you close this tab. Third, calculate your PRIT using the 5 steps above and write the number down. Fourth, calculate the gap between your current retirement savings and your PRIT. Then calculate how many months of contributions at your current rate it will take to close that gap. If the number makes you uncomfortable, do not flinch from it. Adjust the contribution rate, not the goal. Fifth, if you have a partner, do this calculation together. Two people building towards separate assumptions of what retirement requires is one of the most common and most silent retirement planning failures in existence. Patricia did not retire comfortably because she earned more than Leon. She retired comfortably because at 45 she sat down, calculated her number, discovered it was $1,000, $20,000, looked at her trajectory, and realized she was going to land at $940,000 if she changed nothing. So she changed one thing. She increased her contribution rate by 3% and held it for 19 years. That adjustment, built on a specific number, produced a specific outcome. Leon never had the number, so he never had the adjustment. And at 64, he had a retirement account that would have been genuinely impressive to anyone who did not know what his life actually cost to maintain. The industry will keep telling you to save more, invest early, and get to $1 million. That advice is not wrong, but it is incomplete in a way that costs people everything. The number that actually determines your retirement security is not a benchmark. It is a calculation. It is specific to your baseline, your Social Security, and your timeline. And the only reason most people never calculate it is that nobody ever told them it existed. Now you know it exists. And you know exactly how to find it. The only question left is whether you calculate it this week or spend another year saving toward a number that was never actually yours. I'm Carrie. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next.